Hi, I'm Brooke Gleichowski, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Beam Boldly. As an NCAA Division I gymnast, I know firsthand what it feels like to carry the weight of performance, expectations, and identity. Here, we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about mental health, performance anxiety, NIL, resilience, and of course, how faith is our foundation that carries us through all of that. Whether it's stepping onto the beam in competition or just stepping out in everyday life, we are called to live boldly, and we're called to let our light shine. The name Beam Boldly was inspired by the verse Matthew 5:16, which says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." To me, that's what this podcast is all about. So if you're ready to hear raw conversations, find strength in faith, and be reminded that you are never walking this journey by yourself, join me as we step boldly into everyday life. Hey y'all, welcome to Beam Boldly. I am so excited for today's episode because we are going to be talking with one of my favorite people, amazing friend and sister in Christ, Miss Madi Hill. Welcome,
Hey.
Maddie. So excited to have you and talk with you and hear about your story. For those of you that don't know, Madi Hill is on the UGA Equestrian team. They actually just won the national championship. Hello?
Yes, we
Yeah.
love it.
Yes, I love the ring. Oh my gosh, love the ring. Yeah, I got to watch Maddie go out on the field of the football game at the last game, and it was so much fun. So happy for you and your team, and I can't wait to talk more about that here.
Yes. Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, so excited. Alrighty. So first, Maddie, I just want you to tell me a little bit about how you got into equestrian. What does that look like? Obviously, it's a very unique sport. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's actually really funny. My dad grew up riding horses like for fun in high school, quit when he went to college and like never spoke about it again. I never grew up around horses. I knew he rode, but it was just kind of like the same thing as like, oh, my parents like did soccer.
Right, right.
Was never going to transfer. And I went to a birthday party when I was 9 years old, and it was like, ride a pony. And I like walked in a circle, and I was like, I think I want to like ride horses. And I was so bad at like every other sport, like so bad. I could kind of hit a golf ball, but nothing else. And I was like, I want to ride horses. And my dad's like, haha, like, yeah, right. And I was like, "I wanna ride horses." And he finally was like, "Oh, like, she's serious. Okay, we'll do 1 lesson." So I do 1 lesson, and I'm like, "I wanna do it again." And he's like, "Okay." So then 1 lesson turns into 2, 2 turns into once a week, twice a week, and then booms from there. He's like, "What did I do?" I Guess I started leasing my first pony, like, 6 months after I started riding, and then we had, like, a sister barn situation where you had, like, a beginner barn and then, like, the competitive barn. So, after, like, a year and a half or so, switched over to the competitive barn
Okay.
and, just, like, took off with it from there. By the time I was in 6th grade, I was competing 20 to 25 weeks a year, like, absolute
Wow.
insanity.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of competitions.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, tell me a little bit about how those competitions work.
Yeah. It's so funny with junior competitions or like real world is kind of how I call it versus like collegiate because they're completely different. So like in real world competitions, you like have your own horse and you show up, you take care of it, you show it. There's like 3 main divisions that I showed in. So the hunters is where you want to have like the prettiest horse that goes around like
Okay.
smoothly and like effortlessly. You want it to look like
Okay.
he didn't even try. Then you have the equitation, which is a little more technical and it's judged on you as the rider. And so a lot of it is like more thinking, but you still want that smooth, polished look, but it's more judged on the way that you look. And then there's the jumpers, which is basically you pick your height that you compete at, and whoever jumps over all of the jumps without knocking any down the fastest wins.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
all very
So
different.
cool. Okay, so
Yep.
what is your, like, specialty, I guess you
Yeah.
would call it?
So the equitation was always, like, my favorite growing up, that was, like, my big thing, and it's the most similar to what we do in college, But I also like, I loved the jumpers. It was very different, but it was a fun, like, adrenaline rush compared to the divisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so did you have, like, breaking or, like, transition point where you were like, "Wait, I'm actually, like, kind of good at this and, like, I wanna maybe go to college
Yeah.
for
So
it?"
when I started doing the equitation is kind of
Okay.
when I realized I was like, "Okay, like, I think I have potential here," because I started doing it and I started advancing very quickly. And, when I was in, oh goodness, I guess 8th grade is when I was like, "I wanna do this." And my parents were like, "Okay." And I was like, "No, like, I'm not going to school anymore."
Oh
And
my
they were
gosh.
like, "Right.
Okay,
No."
so you homeschooled
I
after
did.
that.
After 8th grade, convinced them I was gonna do online school and I was gonna work for my trainer and travel with my
Wow.
assistant trainer. So I would go to all of the horse shows and I would work Tuesday through Sunday from at least 7 AM to 5 PM, sometimes longer. And, just I just did the thing and then I did school when I got home at night.
Wow. Okay, and was Georgia always your dream school? Okay, okay.
Yep.
Was there anyone specific that you, like, looked up to or that you were, like, interested in? Or it was just like, "Georgia's my one and only"?
Yeah, so Georgia, I always loved it because it's in the South. The campus is beautiful, and it was, like, the perfect distance from home. I always loved that, and I loved the academics of Georgia. A lot of the other schools are also very different dynamics-wise. Like, every team has a very distinct and different team dynamic with, like, the girls, with the coaches, all of that kinda stuff, and Georgia was the one that I really looked up to with, like, always kinda defining ourselves as, like, grace and grit are, like, 2 words that we use a lot,
Yeah.
and so I really wanted to, like, be a part of that kind of environment, which is what really drew me in.
Awesome. Oh, I learn something new about equestrian literally every time Maddie and I talk, which is like every other day at least. There's so much to learn. It's so cool, but it needs to be talked about more because it is so underrated. Switching gears a little bit, tell me a little bit about your faith growing up, what that looked like. Did you grow up in a Christian household? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So when I was really, really young, from when I was, like, 0 to 5 is when I was, like, consistently in the church, doing all the things. My mom had a huge, huge, huge faith, and my dad did as well, but when she passed away, it became really hard for my dad to go to church, and
Okay. Okay.
so being in that environment was really tough for him, and I would go with my grandparents sporadically, but as I got older, it got harder and harder for me too because I would go and it was like, "Oh, you're so grown up, you look just like your mom.
Mm,
Oh, I knew you when you were little." And it was hard for me to, like, go, and I didn't know any of the other kids, and then it was just like, I've got all these adults saying all these bizarre things to me or what felt
right.
bizarre,
Right.
and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know about this." And so I didn't go frequently. And then, like, through elementary school, we would try to get back into going to church, and we'd go, like, for 2 months at a time, and then we were like, "Oh, we missed a Sunday," and then it's hard to get back on track. But then in middle school so I always considered myself, like, a Christian, I just didn't
Right.
know, like, what it meant. In middle school, I started doing wildlife, which is like a version of Young Life, and I would go to, like, all the retreats, and we did, like, I think Wednesday morning meetings or something like that, and, like, it was great and fun, but it was more of, like, a social thing and less of a, like, I understand why I'm doing this.
Right. Right.
And so I would, like, get on the kick after camp, I'm, like, reading my Bible, and then I'm like, "I don't understand a word of this." We
Yeah.
When I was really young, my mom always listened to Chris Tomlin. It was, like, her favorite artist ever, and, like, I'd always find myself, like, randomly listening to his music. And so it was always, like, there, and I always, always said, I was like, "When I go to college, I'm gonna start going to church." Because with the horse showing, we would always show on Sundays, without fail. And so it was like, okay, that took, church completely out of the equation for
Yeah, and when you're showing, what did you say, 20 to
20 to
25 weeks
25
out
weeks
of
a
the
year.
year?
Yeah.
Like, There's not I
No.
mean, only half the Sundays are left, and then it's like, yeah, when you're out of the rhythm, like, that
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
Yep. But I definitely like, I always prayed. I would, like, listen to worship music. I just like, I didn't know what I was doing. And then came to college, and man, did I keep by my word, because I think, like, the second week I was here, I went to Athens Church for the first time and, like, never stopped.
I didn't even tell everyone that's how we met.
Oh, yeah.
Maddie and I didn't even meet through UGA athletics, actually. We met through our church. Shout out Athens Church Beechwood. We love it. And we actually served together with the students, the middle and high school students. So just a little bit about how we met. I meant to
Fun.
say that earlier, but that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, so your mom, obviously, you mentioned that she passed, but she was kind of the starting spark of your faith,
Yes.
right?
So she brought, like, everyone in my family. Like, my dad's parents are, like, the pillars of my faith, I would, like, define them as. She's the one that put this fire in them.
Right. Oh, that's
So I think it's,
amazing.
like, partially genetic.
Right, right, and so, for a long time, it was really hard for you to go to church because it was just, like, a constant reminder of, like, your mom, your mom, your mom,
Yeah,
and it was only between the ages of, like, 0 and 5 that you had been going there, so you didn't even have, like, a personal relationship with the church because you weren't really, like, old enough to, be, like, super, I don't know, engaged or, like,
right.
super, like, involved. Obviously, you're 5
I've
years old. And so, how did that kind of, like, coming back to church now in college and not having that connection to your mom, did that feel weird, or was that freeing, or was it, like, in a way you were like, "Okay, I know that my mom sparked my faith and she would love that I'm here, but now I can attend church and it's not this, like, constant reminder."
Yeah, it kind of gave me the space to experience church for what it really is, instead of, "I'm here, I need to talk to these people," etcetera. I
Right,
got to, like, really be there without, like, the cognitive load of having my brain in 600 different places.
right,
Like,
right.
"Who is this person? They said they've known me forever. What is their name?" I'm, like, sitting in the sermon, I'm like, "Miss Sheila? Like, how do I know
It's like
her?"
at the family functions when people come
Yes,
up, they're like, "Oh, I've known you
exactly.
since you were this big," and you're
Yeah,
like, "I
great.
have no idea who you are.
Yes.
Cool."
Yeah, no, and it
Right,
was definitely, like, I say this a lot, is, like, I have this feeling that she, has had her hand in placing me of, like, where I am now, and I've always, like, felt, kind of her guidance in a way of, like, this is what the path you should be on.
right.
But, yeah, it's definitely, like, it gave me a new space and completely changed my experience with church.
Yeah, and, I mean, I don't know if this is kind of like an obvious question, I'm gonna ask it anyways, but do you feel like because you have your faith and you've grown stronger in your faith that you feel closer to your mom or more content with it or more, like,
Oh, yeah.
just aspiring to, like, get to heaven to be, like,
Yeah.
reconciled?
No, 100%. It's such a peaceful thing for me because I've grown up hearing stories about my mom,
Yeah,
but it's really hard for my dad to talk about her. It and it's, like, it's hard for me to ask because I don't like to see my dad cry, but when I'm at church, like, I feel close to her, and I feel like, there's this bridge and that she's proud of me, and, I know that I'm making her happy in a way, and it just, like, it excites me so much, like, the thought of being in heaven and, like, getting that reconciliation and, like, getting to be like, "Hey, you know, I missed you, but I'm okay." Like, I found
yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Oh, your story is so good. I'm sure we could talk about it for the next 3
Yeah.
hours, but,
Yeah.
let's bring equestrian back into the
Bring it back in.
picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so grew up not really able to go to church because you're showing on most Sundays. So, was it really college where you were able to bring God into your sport? Or I don't know, like, did you have a breaking point where you were like, "Oh my gosh, I need God to be a part of this aspect of my life or else?"
So it really started in high school, bringing God into the sport for sure. It was insane. I would get so anxious about when
Mm.
I rode, and I was in an odd environment mentally, and I would black out when I like rode. Like I would come out of the ring and I'd be like, I don't remember what just happened.
Oh my god.
And my trainer would be like, "Why'd you do that?" And I'm like, I'm still trying to like remember what I just did. Like, I don't know. It would literally everything would be in bits and pieces. And I was like, I
Wow.
don't know how to do this. Then I got to a point where I couldn't connect my mind and my muscles. So, like, for example, I would be like, I know I need to pull my left rein. And I would think, pull your left rein, and my hand wouldn't move.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
That's crazy because, like, as gymnasts, we talk about all the time, like, obviously your thoughts are so important and, like, we have certain, like, keywords for skills that, like, cue our body to do things, right? Like, if I was like, "Brooke, put your left hand above your head," like, I command my body to do it and it doesn't, and it's the same way when you're flipping. And so, I'm, like, seeing that connection to equestrian and to riding, but I cannot imagine being like, "Hey, Brooke, jump backwards onto your hands," and then my body just, like, not
Not doing
follow
it.
it. Like,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
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 Yeah. So I was like, "Okay, what do I do?" And I was like, "Dad, I wanna go to sports therapy." And he was like, "No." And I was like,
Oh,
"Okay." I was like,
you're like, "Oh,
"Oh my
okay."
god." So I was like, "What do I do?" And I was like, "You know what? Why don't I just, like, try praying?" I just, like, caution to the wind, started praying. And, like, when I would walk into the ring, we do, like when you walk into the ring, it doesn't, like, start. You have, like, this whole opening, like, act,
Okay.
I guess, is the best way to
Okay.
explain
Okay.
it. Like, typically when you're waiting for the buzzer. And, like, in those moments, I would say a prayer. I'd be like even it'd be so simple as, like, "God help me."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
"God help me."
Mhm.
And then I would go, and it did wasn't like a be all fix all, like, "Oh, my mind to muscle connection's fixed." But it took something off. It took a weight off of my shoulders. So then it was less on me, and then, the more consistent I was with it, the more weights kept coming off, the more I was able to actually ride a horse.
I love that. One thing that I learned a lot over this last year was inviting God into what you're doing, whether it's practice or showing and or competing,
Yeah,
competing, showing, you know. But I love that like that's essentially what you're saying that you just like turn to. You were like, "Okay, God, I don't even know what to say to you. Just help me out here because I don't wanna black out and not know how to do this thing that you're literally doing every single day," and how powerful that is that, yeah, it doesn't make everything just, like, perfect right away. It doesn't just make every performance you have I was gonna say a perfect 10. I'm not sure how you say that in equestrian.
100.
100. Okay, a perfect 10. It doesn't give you a 100, but your ability to it's funny because I was gonna say your ability to be in control, but it's actually giving him the
Mhm.
control that's allowing your body to do what, like, he's given you the gift to do.
100%.
And that's just so cool, and it's such a small act. It's such a small act of being like, "Hey, God, I invite you into this," or, "Hey, God, help me out. I don't know what's about to happen, like, help me out." And it makes such a big difference. I never even really thought about doing that in high school. I was just like, "I don't know that God really cares that much
Mhm.
that I'm struggling with this skill." Like
Yeah.
like, he probably has way more things, to fix and to focus on. But now being in college, like, it's something that I practice every single day. Every single day in the locker room while I'm putting my hair up, like, that's what I'm thinking about is, like, "God, I invite you into this. I have no idea what's to come. I pray that you would be in control." And it's incredible, 1, the weight that is lifted off of you, but then also the outcome of, "Oh, wait, that wasn't so bad." You know?
Yep. I think it's something that is, like, exponential growth. Because even freshman year to now in practice, it's insane the difference of, like, where I'm at in practice, like, skill-wise and mentally. I go to practice and I'm like, "Cool, we got this," and, like, ride, and I'm like, "Wow, like, I did that," and I'm like, "Hmm." Freshman year me, like, coulda never done that, and I'm like, "Wow."
Right.
Like, these constant prayers of, like, "Lord, help me. Lord, help me. Lord, help me." They multiply, and then it's like, now I don't go to practice like, "Oh, I have this horse. This is a hard one. This is gonna be so tricky, and da 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 da." It's like, "Oh, I have this one. I know God's got me."
Yeah, giving him the space to have control, like, inviting him to have control is such a good thing that people need we need to talk about that more, like, seriously.
It's so opposite of human nature. Like, we wanna control everything. Even in both of our sports, it's like all mind to muscle. It's like, "Okay, oh, I have to control a physical animal." Like, I'm
Right.
controlling another living being. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's on me, but how do I then turn around and, like, give that away?
Yeah.
It's so backwards, but it works, which is just so insane to, like, think about.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we touched on this a little bit, but I wanna go a little bit deeper. I want you to describe your mindset and perspective on equestrian before God was ever in the picture of your sport and your faith being, like, one. Does that make sense? So, like, what was Madi Hill before equestrian and God combined?
Ooh, an anxious wreck. I don't wanna say I was unhappy because I've always been described as, like, a sunshine person, but, like, unfulfilled. Like,
Yeah.
I probably did 800 things in a day, and I went home and felt empty and, like, I was like, "Okay, like, what do we do with this?" I was, like, completely unable to cope with anything healthily. Like, I was a like, I cried all the time.
Yeah.
Like, daily crier, and that was just, like, all like, that was my whole coping situations, like, I cried it out, and then I moved on, and it was just, like it was exhausting, honestly, like, trying to figure out every little thing. Like, I'd go to bed at night, and, like, when I would be in competition, I'm, like, calculating the points to see, like, how many ribbons I need to get the next day to be able to get champion.
Oh
Like,
my
that
god.
like, that
Yeah.
insanely overthinking of, like,
Yeah, and almost like idolization.
this oh, insanely idolization,
Yeah.
and it's like, that was my whole life, like, everything revolved around that. Everything revolved around my performance, my self-worth, my worth, in my trainer's eyes half the time. I felt like my worth with my dad revolved in that. I know that it didn't, but that's the way that, like, I put that on myself,
Right.
and if I showed bad, then I still had to walk around smiling. So it was like this whole I never got to deal with anything except when things were, like, going well. Like, "Okay, this was great," "We're gonna be good. This was bad. Now I'm fighting this whole battle and doing it all by myself."
Right.
And it's like, how do you navigate that, like, without God? You don't.
No, and I relate to that so much, especially I like how you mentioned the feeling of emptiness and just constantly pouring into a cup that's broken. I was talking about this analogy the other day actually of this cup that you're constantly pouring into, but like there's a hole in the bottom of the cup. And as you just keep you're, like, you're pouring it in with, I don't know, all everything but God. You're just trying to, like, do all these things to feel enough, to feel worthy, to feel accomplished, to feel proud, and you're pouring in, but this cup has a hole at the bottom, so it's just going straight through, and guess what? As you pour more in, the hole gets bigger because of the weight of the water, and then you have this
I love that.
cute, perfect little precious cup named Jesus, and, like, the more you pour into that, that cup stays full. It
It
stays full.
overflows.
It overflows, and it really is, like, a good just, like, thought of, like, "Am I pouring into this broken cup right now, or am I pouring into Jesus and leaning into my faith and reading my word and learning that's, like all of that, I could have a horrible day at practice, not make a single skill, fall on my butt 14 times, and still be completely full because of my Jesus cup,
Yep.
you know?
Oh,
And I think that,
100%.
like, it's so easy as an athlete at any level to make it your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
It like we mentioned, like, the idols, like, it becomes an idol so fast because it's a constant working for something that's going to get you attention and going to get you, like, that feeling of accomplishment. And when you feel that, all you want is more of
It gets me a 50-cent ribbon.
it.
I can buy my own 50-cent ribbon, like,
Right.
like, what like, truly, but it's truly, like,
No, you're so
are
right.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I think about,
what?
like, I mean, we get medals, which are maybe more than 50 cents,
Alright,
but,
well,
like,
you're getting a
guess
$5
what?
medal.
Well, yeah, and guess what? All of my medals from when I was 9 years old and, like, freaking out every single day, I don't matter at all to me anymore. I we may have thrown them out when I moved. I actually don't even know. Like, it is not oh, it feels so important in the moment, but it's like, "Whoa," like, zoom out of your life, get the bigger picture, and, like, it's just not, but when we're pouring into that cup, that's the best trophy you could have, is that cup being full and overflowing.
I mean, even when you fail in sports, not having your identity being in sport is so important for your quality of life, your relationship with Jesus. Like, think about the way that Jesus sees you. Your sport is such a small piece of that.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like, why are we so inclined to make that everything?
because 'cause we're human and we're sinners, apparently.
No, 100%, 'cause this noggin's not right.
Yeah.
But but when you make that, like, switch, I mean, for example, I'm on the team at Georgia, but I'm not a starter. I'm not even on the travel roster right now, and I'm perfectly fine. I'm happy because I have Jesus and all of the other gifts that he's given me.
And at the same time, you were just talking about a few minutes ago how you were writing and showing so much better than you were freshman year. Still.
Right.
Like, still, even with that, okay, it's amazing that your teammates are, like, getting all these opportunities to show and everything, but that doesn't take away from who Madi Hill is or who she is as an equestrian at all, you
Yeah.
know? And that's oh, it's so much easier said than done,
No,
of course,
100%. We can preach
but
this till we're blue in the face and still fail
right.
to live it out.
Yeah.
Like,
No. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a daily
It's
thing.
a daily battle. Yeah. Okay, so talking about how it's a daily battle, how do we fight that daily battle? What are some practical things that you do, some things that you feel like just work and are things that you won't let go of because it helps you fight that daily battle?
Hello.
Oh, oh, hi.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Even if it's one verse. Ideally, it's not one verse for me. I can't live a life unfed, and that is my daily bread. If I don't eat, I can't compete.
Right.
I can't I can't do it. I have to have my time in the Word. It grounds me. It shuts off the noise of the world. It helps me refocus on what's important. It is by far the number one most important part of my day.
Yeah.
Does that mean it happens at 5 a.m. every day? No. I would like it to, but I'm being real here.
Right now, mine is.
Like, no,
Right
most of the
now,
time,
it's
yeah,
5:30 and the book is open because those morning practices, I gotta get
yeah,
it in
they'll get
before though
you.
because no, yeah, but, like, seriously, it starts I would have never realized how much of an impact it makes to read it at the start of your day.
Oh, insane.
And I was, also always been a pretty positive person, joyful. I can wake up and have a good day and go about my day and then, maybe later I'll get to it. But, like, now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't go without it."
Yeah.
I can't go without it.
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
It's yeah. Okay, so the word
Mhm.
every day.
Every day.
It's the nutrients.
Mhm.
What would you tell to a young equestrian or a younger gymnast or athlete who is like, "Okay, I have this Bible that maybe my grandma or my parents got me when I was little, but, like, how do I just open up this book that's, like, over 1,000 pages and just, like, start?"
I would say start with the Gospels, first of all. If you need a place to start, that's the place to start. Not just because they're, like, the easiest to read, because they're filled with stories. It's it's gonna, bring you closest to who Jesus is, and then everything else is gonna build on it.
Yeah.
Something that I always still do also before I open any book in the Bible is I do the, YouTube short for the Bible plan. And it has, like, a brief summary with all these fun little illustrations and yada, yada, yada. Gives you the historical context, like, basically tells you what's going on, what you're gonna learn, and then you get to learn it yourself.
Oh, I love that.
So it's nice to kind of have that, like, initial guidance, and they're short. Like, I think the longest one that I watched was, like, 9 or 10 minutes.
Right.
They're not, like, a whole huge thing. It's just a start. You kinda know what you're looking at, and then you can go.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. I'm gonna have to try that myself. I haven't watched the videos. Okay, so if you don't know, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they're all for telling their perspective of Jesus's life. So I'm just giving a little backstory about what you're talking about, but I totally just like what you said of like when you start with the gospel, it's stories, so they are a little bit easier to understand. It's a great place to start, but it also you genuinely get to know Jesus when you read them. You get to hear about the power and the miracles that he can do and his kindness, and for me, it, like, broadened my perspective of life so much, and it really did help take that pressure of, like, gymnastics is my all, it, like, took that away when I realized how awesome Jesus is and was and is and will be, and it's yeah, I love that you said that, and also one thing that I struggled with starting to read that I would just, like, say to a younger athlete is you don't have to read the entire book in a day or
No.
a week
No.
or even a month. Like, seriously, you can read, like Maddie said, a verse. You never know what just one verse will do. You could, if you're sitting there, you're like, "Oh, I really don't wanna do that." Like, I don't know, it sounds boring. Commit to one verse. Okay, I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna read the first verse of Matthew, and that's it. And if that's all you get, okay. But also, you might be like, "Wait, this kinda sounds cool. Maybe I should keep going." And it draws you in, and then you realize, "Okay, I read a paragraph today. I read a chapter today." And that's awesome. And again, you're getting to know Jesus more, but it's not like you have to go read the whole thing in a day. There's no right or wrong way to do it. God is not gonna be mad at you because you didn't read a specific number of verses or words or chapters or whatever it is.
I also kind of think about it like you're a baby in faith, right? A baby
Mhm.
drinks a couple bottles in a day, right? You drink some milk. You're not eating a 7-course meal
Right.
as a baby. Like, I mean, eventually, yes, maybe, but even in, like, adulthood and when you are deep into your faith, you're still not eating a feast every single day.
Right.
Like,
Right.
but you're eating.
Mhm.
At least I
Mhm.
hope you're eating.
Right. Yes, eat.
So it's
But you
like,
don't have that Thanksgiving
right,
feast
I don't have
every single
Thanksgiving every
day.
day.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it's just you have to eat. but also, meet yourself where you are. Don't put that pressure of like, I have to read all of the gospels right now.
So good. I love that. I love that. Okay, so fast forward to Maddie now. What is God continuing to reveal about himself through you now doing equestrian, being on the team? This is now your third year, and also being in a place where your faith is what drives your life.
Yeah. Ugh. I would say where I'm at right now, what God is revealing the most to me is that He is so faithful and so good at controlling my life. And I am so bad at it.
So
And
true.
like there's no reason for me to stress about my day anymore. And I think that is something that I've really learned is to like that I can give him control and that he is gonna take care of it and it's gonna be just fine. Like, I used to plan my day out, like, minute by minute. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I understand that definitely
Sometimes it
makes
has to
a
happen.
difference. It does. It does. But, like, today, I am dog sitting for a teammate. I was stressed that I was gonna have to leave the dog for too long because I was gonna have to go to tutoring and then class and then Pilates and, like, what if I didn't have time to run back to the house between it? I came to the house twice in that time span before I went to my last place. Because the Lord took care of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't have written that into the schedule, it wouldn't work.
Right. Right.
But, like, the more that I sit back and just, like, watch my days, like, the more appreciative I am of how well he takes care of his children.
Oh, that's so good.
But, like in the sport, it's like I just have this peace, and it's a peace that only comes from him, is, like, regardless of if I'm on the travel roster, if I'm starting, if I have the extra practice this week, if I, ride the good or bad horse, he's got me.
Right. Yeah. I love that, and I think one thing I always think about too when you're in that moment of like, "Okay, I'm gonna try and give you control, but I hope you do a good job at being in control," is like, he's never not done it.
Right.
He's
He's
never
never
not
not
done it.
been good.
You've never gone through a day like, yes, you've had bad days, but you've never gone through a day that has been completely horrible and terrible when you allow him to be in control. Like, he does it every time, no matter how stressed you are. He does it every time, and, like, that that's the definition of faithful. Okay, I wanna know how your faith has impacted the way you practice with your team and your coaches, kinda stepping out of, like, okay, Maddie writing or showing. How has your relationship with the Lord affected your relationships within equestrian?
Yeah. So, I have always had, like, friends on the team. Like, that's never been, like, an issue for me.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, like we have a lot I mean, we have 49 girls, so we have every personality under the sun. So it's definitely just been funny to see how, like, God has placed people in my life, in bigger or smaller roles for different seasons throughout the team. But, like, it has been so fun to see how, like, I've bonded with, new freshmen over, like, the past 2 years of, like, "Hey, guys, if you wanna come to church, like, this is the church that I go to. Would love to see you there." And, like, when they show up, it's, like, so cool and, like, brings us closer together. Or, like, learning from older girls on the team that have, been there and done that. You get to bond over the little things.
Yeah.
My background on my phone used to be Philippians 4:13, and, like, our 5th year senior came up to me and was like, "What's your screensaver?" I was like, "Phil
Mm.
4:13." She was like, "I'm told that verse every time by coach before I go in the arena." And I was like, "Wow." Like, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then we did these little things for our last meet where we, like, put a little quote above our lockers. I did Phil 4:13, and one of our freshmen who's, like, straight across from me with her locker, same
Mhm.
thing. We had no idea.
Oh,
So it's just, like,
wow.
finding those little moments has been, super cool because 'cause we're not a super religious team. Like, we all grew up showing on Sundays, like, church is basically out of the equation for all of us. But it's also we do questions before practice a lot. So, like, one of our coaches does, like, you do a fun fact, and then another one, kind of varies her question week by week. So I think a lot of the time, trying to find a way to incorporate like the Lord into my answers. Like one week she asked, "What's the best piece of advice that you have ever gotten?" And I was like, "I don't know, like there's so many things." And so I just shared whatever we went over that weekend in church.
Oh my gosh,
Like, I
wow.
heard this amazing sermon and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, "Best advice."
planting all the seeds. I love to hear it. Oh,
Trying to
that's so
find those
good.
moments.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so is there a verse I know you just talked about Philippians 4:13. Is there a verse or a worship song that you always read or listen to before practice or competition? What sticks out to you? What is always, like, closest to your heart?
Philippians 4:13, of course. And then Who You Say I Am is my song. I
Oh, I
I
love that song.
love that song. So it kind of really grounds me. I listen to it pretty much every day on the way to practice. It definitely that's my song. But, like, really anything I'm not, like, super meticulous in the way that it's like, "I have to read this verse before I do this, and da, 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 da." It's more like, "Okay, I'm getting in the word," if anything.
I love that, and I love the song "Who You Say I Am" because, again, it's that reminder that you are not what the judges say about you, you're not what your coaches say about you, you're not what your teammates say about you. You are what he says about you, and that's it, and nothing can take that away.
I am chosen,
Nothing.
not forsaken. I am who he
Mhm.
says I am.
Amen. Like, you are, and nothing can take that away, like, not a person or there's nothing you can do to take that away either, and that's just awesome.
Awesome.
What a
Well, what a
joy
gift.
that is.
What a gift.
Like, what a gift that is. That's amazing. Okay, final piece of advice that you would give to a young athlete navigating faith and sport.
Ugh. It takes a lot of courage, and the more you ask God for courage, the more he gives it to you.
Mm,
I think for me, for a long time, I tried to keep it very personal and very much like, okay, this is like my internal thing. Like I'm talking to God and like da 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 da. I'm saying my prayer, but like nobody else needs to know about that. But they do. And the more that you can kind of talk about it, you don't realize that you're planting seeds, but you're also watering your own. Like verbalizing it has power.
yeah.
And it's not easy when you first start doing it. And it feels awkward and it's so against the world, which everything in faith is. But the more that you're like, God, like, help me, be able to, like, have this true confidence in you. He shows up and he puts that in you, and he's always there filling your cup. He's always faithful, like we talked about.
Yeah, I no, that's so good. I love especially what you said at the beginning about what was it? The it's hard to have courage, but the more you ask for, the more he
Oh,
gives. Be courageous. It's so hard, but be courageous. Maddie, it has been so amazing to have you on Beam Boldly. Such an honor. Thank you so much for this. I know I learned something. I hope that you guys have learned something too. But Maddie, is there any last final comment you want to make?
Jesus loves you guys. He's always there for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We're going to put Maddie's social media in the description so you guys can go follow her, learn more about her story, and more about her faith journey. This was such an inspiring episode, and I just hope that you guys will continue to follow along. Bye.
Bye.